Incredible. Let them sit somewhere in the back of your brain. Don't even think about them for now. What we're going to do today is, ladies and gentlemen, talk a little bit about the brain. Could I ask you for a moment to take your hands and place them like this? Take those hands and put them into fists. Take those fists and put them together. Look down. That's about the size of your human brain. 1.5 kilos of water, fat, electricity. Don't worry if you're sitting next to somebody like yours is massive. It's just, thank God, their hands. But place them down. It shows us something interesting. What it shows us is that we have two hemispheres. Now, I work around the world. You'd be surprised. I care about misinformation. Until even recently, people used to say things like, you seem like a left brain person. You seem like a right brain. If you hear anyone talk like that, walk away. It makes no sense. We see a lot of plasticity in the brain. However, we do see areas that we like to process. For instance, if you were being logical, working with lines or words or numbers or order in that moment, and we could have looked in your brain, we would have seen more electricity working around the left hemisphere. If you're being rhythmical, if you're thinking about space, this is a bit weird because you're always thinking about space. Go back to any memory from your whole lives now. It's in a place, isn't it? Do you remember the timer over there? Yeah. What about the timer over there? Yeah. What about the time we're just floating through the air? No, not really. Everything we do links into place, to the point where if you can't remember where you were, the memory doesn't emerge. What we're going to do is try and use more of the brain rather than less. Isn't it weird, though, that that kind of feels like school, and that doesn't? But that doesn't make any sense, because we take our brain everywhere we go. It doesn't matter which building we're in. What we know is the more processes we use, the quicker we think, the faster we learn, and the more we remember. That's going to be in action right now. Let's get some energy in the room. Okay, in a moment, I'm going to ask everyone on these chairs to be my left brain. In a moment, you guys are going to be my right brain. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start on this side. Can you get your hands ready to clap for me, please? Ready to clap? Okay. I'm going to clap a rhythm. All you need to do is listen and then copy. Start simple. Start with. Some of you just clapping anyway, which sounded good. You're geniuses. Now I'm going to work on this side of the room. Instead, I'm going to ask you guys a question. What I want you to do is answer me as soon as you get it in your head. You ready? Here we go. Start simple. You're looking at me like, I hate questions. Okay, good. Quick example. Okay, here we go. 2 plus 2 is? 4. Good. 4 times 4? 16. There's an 8 there somewhere, like maybe not 8. One more, if that's okay. Capital of France is? You didn't feel it. But when you worked with those questions, there's electricity in your brain, and it was in the left, electricity in the right. But even that isn't really true. Because when some of you said Paris, it wasn't a word on a list. It was a picture, a space, a flag, the Eiffel Tower, something on a map. See, there's cross-pollination happening all the time. What we know is the more processes, quicker we think, faster we learn, more we can remember. My aim today is to show, to demonstrate, and to involve you in those techniques and processes. Ladies and gentlemen, physicality. Could I ask you just to raise your right hand for a moment? Could you wiggle the fingers on that hand? Okay, so your left brain just made your right. Okay, stop. Left hand in the air. Just wave. Hi, how's it going? Right brain makes the left hand stop doing it. You're freaking me out. Quickly get confused. Put your hands like this. Put your index finger out on one side, little one on the other, and then simply switch, switch back, switch, 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 switch. How's that going? How's that going? So smug, right? Hands down. Of course, it's a trick. These guys are like, I will solve you. I'm gonna crush this. Obviously, it's a trick. No one's born going like this. What happened is I practiced it, and I started to create neural pathways. Raise your hand if you have heard of neural pathways before. Cool, hands down. Any idea how many neurons in the human brain? Take a number, just throw out a guess. That would be amazing. 100 billion neurons in a human brain, about 500 in a worm, 100 billion in a human brain, which means that as you sit here with me now, Your brain is the most complex thing in the known universe. You might not feel like that right now. You're like, not now, mate. But that's what you have. This is what I want to try and start to play with. Raise your hands. I live in London. Raise your hand if you've ever been to London before. Oh, yeah, loads of you guys. Okay, hands down. In London, they've got famous black taxi cabs. Taxis, right? They did this new amazing experiment in the 1990s with taxi drivers. They put them in brain scanners. I don't know if they wanted to go, but they shoved them in, and they found something incredible. They found that the part of the brain for memory for a taxi driver was physically bigger than on any other normal human being, which either means they're born with it, or what it really means is that thinking every day, which road do I take, has physically changed the structure of their brain. By the time you leave here, that process will be underway for you as well. Welcome, grab a seat wherever there is one, come on in. Ladies and gentlemen, so we're gonna look at what the brain does and how we process. Let's try and look a little bit around memory. Okay, so there's lots about this. Hello. There's lots about it, like really unsubtle. There's lots about this that we could try and talk about, but let's try and think about what it is that you do. So can I ask you, when is it now? October. Go back to the summer holidays, July, August. Culturally, a lot of people still take holidays at that point. What I'd like you to do is to take a moment in your brain and travel back in time to the summer holidays. Let one memory come to the surface now. Every one of those memories is different, but they all have things in common. And the thing I want to focus on is feeling. The reason you remember that thing is because it made you feel something. I felt happy, sad, weird, crazy, delighted, great acting. Or you felt something, as in I literally felt it, it was hot and it burnt me. I smelled it, it was strange, I tasted it, it was incredible. We feel stuff and then we remember. And then you ask a student who has to go and take exams, you got to remember all this stuff. How do you feel? And they're like, depressed. So my question is, how are we connecting with students? I need you to hold that in the back of your minds as we travel through future and past. We're going to look at some ancient techniques and some more modern ones, taking and evaluating ideas we have around neuroscience. Ladies and gentlemen, Cambridge University say that we remember 7 plus or minus 2 things. Right now, everyone in the room is going to remember 12 things in less than 2 minutes, and it's not a trick that I'm here. Anything in your hands and your lap, just place it on the ground. You need your hands free. Raise your hand if on a normal day you drive to work. Raise your hand if on a normal day. If I can choose you, your name is? Mohammed, lovely to meet you. Stay where you are. He wanted to get up. He's like, take my top off. He's like, good for you, Mohammed. That's later. Now, Mohammed, not even later. Tomorrow, they hold me out here. So when you drive to work, you come out of the drive of your house and you take a left or a right?
Sometimes left, sometimes.
Whoa, he likes to vary his routine, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say you take a left. What happens next? How far do you drive? 100 meters, and then?
Yeah,
and then?
right.
And then? And then?
Take the roundabout.
This guy's a genius, hands down. So you didn't see it. I asked him, where do you drive? Immediately, his eyes go here because he was accessing his visual memory. You weren't really there at the time. You were accessing your visual memory. What we want to try and do is look at how that works. So I'm going to take you now around a house. I want you to imagine a house. We all live in houses. I mean, I live in London. People live in boxes. But generally, we live in houses. So I'm going to take you around a house. I'm going to leave a person or a thing or an object in each room. And then I'm going to come back and say, what do you remember? Now, for this, you can keep your eyes open. But if I were you, closed. Imagine the architecture. I need you to imagine you're walking around the house with me. You're seeing the stuff that I show you. It's going to take 90 seconds. You guys ready? Okay. Good luck. I want you to imagine you're walking up the road towards a house, our house, lovely house. You get to the front door, something strange has happened. On the door, the doorbell is broken. Somehow it's been replaced with a big bell from a church. Give it a ring. Dong, dong, dong. Eventually manage to push open the door and you go through. You're in the hallway. Look down. On the floor in the hallway, fresh from the local bakery, is a Danish pastry. That looks good. Pick it up, take a bite, delicious. Put it back on the floor in the hallway. Leave the Danish pastry in the hallway and you go through into the front room, the living room. And in there is the whole Eiffel Tower. The whole thing. Doesn't make sense. Touch it. Cold metal. You leave the Eiffel Tower in the front room, you go through into the kitchen. In the kitchen, you see two German tennis players, Boris Becker, Steffi Graf. They're playing tennis with the German sausage. This seems strange. Leave them alone. You go into the laundry room, and in there is the actor, John Travolta. He has his top off, and he's rubbing himself in grease. This is the point I feel sorry for the translator. But anyway, keep going. He's like, is these really the words? Yes, they are really the words, hot stuff. You leave that strange and disgusting sight and you go through onto the stairs. On the stairs, you nearly trip over a little Irish leprechaun, like a small goblin. You nearly trip over it. This is freaking you out. You go to your bedroom. You want to lie down. They've taken the duvet in your room and replaced it with a giant lasagna. You like lasagna. You don't want to sleep with lasagna. So you go into a second room, a child's room, something like that. It's empty except for soap, not normal soap, luxury soap, hundreds of bars of luxury soap. You feel like you're going crazy. You want to splash water on your face. You run to the bathroom. You can't get in. Someone's put a net over the door to the bathroom. Feel it. Press against your hands and your face. You go up into the attic. The attic is below the roof. You go into the attic, and in there, in the darkness, is Cristiano Ronaldo drinking a glass of port. You're like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. What are you doing? Leave him alone. You're on top of the roof. You see a bull. Looks angry. It may charge at you. So you dive off. You land safely in the garden. There is a mat, a big cushion to stop you falling. On the cushion is a Union Jack flag. You land in the middle. You go to your friend's house. The flag lifts up and it drifts away. Ladies and gentlemen, outstanding, back in the room, 2 minutes. So, Cambridge University said it wouldn't be possible, but let's work together now. I'm going to take you around that house. Each time I get to a room, I'm not going to say what was there. Instead, I'm going to go like this. Not because I enjoy this, but it helps us work as one big brain. If you're not sure, don't worry. But if you do know, try not to rush ahead. Don't say anything yet. I want you to focus on this house. You're walking towards it. You visualize the house. You visualize the front door. And working as one big team, the thing you saw hanging on the door was a? Outstanding. Leave it there. You open up the door. You walk through into the hallway. You're visualizing the hallway. You're visualizing the floor. And on the floor in the hallway, of course, was a? So let's move a little bit quicker. You went into the front room, the living room. What did you find? You went into the kitchen. There were some strange people playing tennis with? Let's get sausage, like that. I can see we're reading off the same script. You went into the laundry room. There was an actor. Who was it? He had his top off and he was rubbing himself in. Who said oil? That's your dream, not mine. I want him in oil. Now, you went onto the stairs. There was a little goblin from which country? You went into your bedroom, replaced the duvet with? You went into the second room. What's on the floor? Be clear, what kind of soap? Perfect. You went through into the bathroom, but you couldn't. Why? You went through into the attic. Who was lying there? What was he drinking? You went onto the roof. What did you see? You went onto a cushion, and on the cushion was a? And then it lit. I said it once, you remember the whole thing, which is amazing. Now it gets weird. Every time we ever remembered something, it was in an order. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. But this you can do in any order you want. Ladies and gentlemen, if I said, go straight onto the stairs, what did you see? Amazing. Go straight to the beginning, the front door. What's hanging there? On the door was a? Amazing. You went onto the roof. What did you see? You went into the living room. What was in there? If I said, where was the lasagna? You say, you never been to my bedroom before. They'd be like, what the hell's going on? But in that moment, your brain is so powerful. You went around a house that doesn't even exist, and then we make it even weirder. Congratulations, I'm a very sneaky man. I snuck information into you. You didn't even know. And you remembered, in less than 2 minutes, the first 12 countries of the European Union in alphabetical order. Let's go again. You got to the front door. What was hanging on the door? Good. Country, Belgium. Beautiful. What kind of pastry? Denmark. Where's the Eiffel Tower? France. Where was the sausage from? What was he rubbing himself in? Oil. Yeah, good. Must stop doing this at conferences. Where was the little goblin from? You went on to... Where do they make lasagna? What kind of soap? Luxembourg. Outstanding. My problem is, like, Luxembourg, what does it make me think of? I'm like, nothing. So I need a way in. And that was the way it sounded. You couldn't get in because of a what? Netherlands, good, but you could have had clogs or windmills or red light districts or whatever, depending on. And what was he drinking? A glass of? Portugal, plays football for Portugal. Does anyone know where they fight bulls? I did this a couple of months ago. Someone's like, Bulgaria. You're like, maybe. I didn't know it, but maybe. And then where was the flag from? Yeah, and then England, and then it flew, and then yay, Brexit. Now, our brains are incredible. The reason you can do that is not because I'm here. Because you have used space to drive your evolution for billions of years. So we're going to look at the relationship of that. There are people sitting here going, well, I'm not very creative, so let's destroy that now. Ladies and gentlemen, so what we're going to try and do is learn a language in less than 75 seconds. Question, does anyone here already speak Japanese? Get out. No, stay. Stay, I like you. There's not that many people anyway. So, in a moment, you're all going to learn to speak from 1 to 10 in Japanese. Now, just worth bearing in mind, I appreciate that I'm running this in English, and this isn't your first language, so I respect what you're doing. One challenge for you, and it's not a problem, is to think this is not language dependent. It's association dependent. So I'm going to form English associations, but it works for you. I actually run this about speaking Arabic in other countries, but I think everyone here knows how to probably. So I'm going to do Japanese. Show me your hands. You don't need to write anything down, even you, sir. Show me your hands. Even you. Very good. Now, ladies and gentlemen, good luck. Let's be playful. I'm going to use a system called accelerated learning. That is to say, I'm going to say the numbers 1 to 10 in Japanese. These words sound weird in your head. Just say them back. Then I'm going to show them, read them, say them back. And finally, we're going to use our hands to understand them. 75 seconds tops. You guys ready? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, listen very carefully. Here we go. Repeat after me, please. 1 in Japanese is ichi. 2 is ni. 3 is san. 4 is shi. 5 is go. 6 is roku. 7 is nana. 8 is hachi. 9 is kyu. 10 is zu. Now go, perfect. Now go in through your eyes. Read with me. 1 in Japanese is ichi. 2 is ni. 3 is san. 4 is shi. 5 go. 6 roku. 7 nana. 8 hachi. 9 kyu. 10 zu. And now we're going to go in through our hands. Ladies and gentlemen, raise your hands in the air. Very good. I'd like you to scratch yourself hard and say, itchy. Suddenly you grab your knee. Now, beginning of the day, the sun, beautiful lady, she told us to go. We escape up a mountain, roku. Got hungry, eat a nana. Suddenly, giant egg, hachi. Get scared, get our snooker cue. End up with the elephants at the zoo. One recap. Look at it, say, all in one motion. I must insist, hands in the air. Thank you, sir. Show me and say, all together, feeling very? So you grab your, which means 3 is. So show me. So show me. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Amazing. 1, That's it. That's the recap's over. Trust me. This guy hates me, but trust me, it's the hands more than anything help you remember. I know you're used to looking and studying, and I'm asking you to lift out of that. We change our behaviors through those patterns. Ladies and gentlemen, the very best of luck. Hands in the air. Hands in the air, even you hot stuff. Here we go, all the way through. Show me and say, 1 in Japanese, 2 in Japanese, 3 in Japanese, 4 in Japanese, 5 in Japanese, 6 in Japanese, 7 in Japanese, 8 in Japanese, 9 in Japanese, 10 in Japanese. A round of applause for yourselves, beautifully done. Babies, 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 babies. Yes, that's me. I would love to say that I brought this from the future, but I brought it from the past. If I give a baby something, what is the first thing it does with it? If I did that now, like that, they'd be like, he's weirder than I thought, right? Babies don't... Yes, that really was Japanese. You're like, call your Japanese friend, I can talk to you. If I give a baby something, they use their senses to understand it. All of their senses. Also, babies don't care about making mistakes. You know, a baby's like, look, I poo myself. It doesn't care. If I did that now, you'd be like, no, I really care. Babies don't care about making mistakes. You take this lack of fear of failure, we talked about growth mindset already and engagement. Don't be scared to make a movement. You are a human, not a statue. And also you start to connect that to, okay, so look, let's say we live 80 years or more, hopefully, okay? Of the whole time that we are on this planet, the quickest that you and I ever learn is as a baby. And they use all their senses and they don't care about making mistakes. Then you get to kindergarten, primary school, grade 1, whatever. And it's, you know, you learn pretty well, lots of running around, Then you get into secondary school, senior school, high school. There's a lot of sitting, a lot of looking. And then finally, you go to work, some guys just like this, you're like, is he alive? I don't know. I guess I'm saying, why are we saying that that is our future? They were such a good learner, they hardly moved. What is that? We are a human first and a student second. We are just humans who happen to be in work and school, but the institutionalized process has changed how we feel about our relationship with information. And I'm asking us as educators to start to critique that, evaluate it, and evolve it. See, if I said to a kid now, I said to a student, okay, surprise exam. You've got 1 hour to revise. He'd be like, oh my God, I hate you. But okay, what would they do? They'd go over there and they would read. They would read and they would read and they would read. And what we know about us as human beings is of all the ways that we can remember anything, our least favorite way is to read it. What a waste of energy. But for you and I, it gets better. Because as a human, we remember 30% of the things we hear. We remember 40% of the things we see. We remember 50% of the stuff we say. You and I remember 60%, which means that that crazy kid who is dancing Japanese has got a 3 times better chance than that really well-behaved student who was sitting there reading it. And you and I, as human beings, can get that to go towards 90% if we cross over our senses. So my question to all of us is, what are we doing? Because if all we're doing is reinforcing a system. I love reading, but that's not how we remember. So my question is, what are we doing? Let's engage our senses and let's get the kids to do that. Again, people think, I'm not very creative, so let's play a game. Could I ask everyone to get, I gave everyone pads, hopefully. Grab your piece of paper and a pen for me now. Thank you. Good. You guys doing well. So, creativity. I teach around the world. I teach lots of different kinds of courses. Something that I'm really passionate about is the gap between research and practice. I'm working with cutting-edge entrepreneurial organizations, and they don't care about the fact that, sir, you might know 3 more things than me. That doesn't make him win. It's how we think. And the longer that goes on, the gap between what companies are really looking for in their students and what we're teaching them, facts, statistics, spoon feeding, gets wider and wider and wider. So let's do a quick example. Ladies and gentlemen, you are creative. I'm eternally optimistic. Here we go. I hope that the translator gets this one right. Doesn't matter, just whatever you answer. Okay, here's the deal, 60 seconds. In a moment, I'm going to give you an object to think about. I want you to work on your own. I know it makes good sense to be collaborative, but that's not what this game does. What I'm asking you to do is to spend 60 seconds thinking about an object, and during that time, write down as many ways you can use this object as possible. For instance, if I was to say, okay, you've got, this isn't the real one, but just an example. You have 60 seconds. How many ways could you use a ruler? The first thing you might write down is to measure, to do a straight line, to attack this guy, whatever. I mean, really get in there. For a little mouse to use like a diving board, whatever. It's up to you. But rules, work on your own, and also don't come up with long, incredible explanations. Your game here is how many different ideas. Working on your own, I'm about to give you an object. You've got 60 seconds. And the object I want you to think about, let me get my stopwatch. Here we go, nearly, discard, what? Stopwatch, there it is. Okay, the object I need you to think about is a humble paper clip. 3, 2, 1, go. Can you hear? Ha. Halfway through. Stop. Good. Now what I need you to do is underline, highlight, circle of all your incredible ideas, the one idea that you feel is your most creative. Circle that for me now. Choose it now. The one idea you feel. And now tell the people next to you. Go, go. 60 seconds. Talk, 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 talk. Best idea?
To hold up one.
Nice. Sweet. Best idea? Like a necklace. Talk to each other. Share your ideas. Share your ideas. Best idea?
The freezer bags.
Very good. Best idea?
What?
Best idea?
Using the packet, toothpick.
Ah, best idea.
Chart paper. Oh, sorry?
Best idea.
Sim patch.
Best idea.
To fix paper cover.
Got it. Best idea.
For organization.
Best idea. Come on. Best idea.
Of the hair.
Very good. Best idea.
Clothes.
Very good. And stop. Next, some nice ideas for clothes. One of you was like to stab, which is lovely, in the leg, really localized torture. What I'd like you to do is now count up how many ideas on your list. Count up, count up, count up. Good. Could you raise your hands if you managed to get 2 or more? 2 or more on your list. Good. Well done. 3 or more, 4 or more, 5 or more, whoa, 6 or more, 7 or more, 7 or more, 8 or more, 8 or more, how many? 11, how many? Too many to count. She's like, I don't know, I ran out of paper. My brain is too massive. Ladies and gentlemen, outstanding, thank you. So this comes from a creativity study. What they found was that if you were alive and you were thinking, you got more than 0, so well done, sentient humans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, general population, typical bell curve. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you move on to what the scientists would say are showing signs of creative genius. So well done, get out. No, stay, stay. Not you, you can stay. So can I borrow this for a moment? Thank you. Thing is, it's really around something called functional fixedness. Guys, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I need you to answer me as quick as you can. You guys ready? Okay, cool. Each time really quick. Okay, what color is this page? What color is this one? What color is that one? How about this one? What about that one? What do cows drink? I say white, you go milk, must be milk. I said white 5 times. We fall into patterns of behavior that are very expected for us as human beings. Happens all the time. Green man means cross. Actually, we are, I would say, hamstrung. They did this in lots of ways. I'll give you the most famous, nicest example. First year, Harvard Business School. They invite everyone into a lecture. And the question is this, very simple. Can you write down the last 2 numbers from your mobile cell number, okay? Next question. What percentage of countries in Africa are in the European Union? Without fail, the people that wrote down a higher number for their mobile phone number guessed a higher number for the percentage of... Those 2 questions are not linked at all. Simply writing a high number, simply saying white, makes us think of milk. We fall into all these patterns. See, I said paperclip. So for me, I got 3 kids. To me, a spoon is a spoon. I pick it up, I shovel things into my face. To my 9-year-old, it's a spoon, but it's a weapon. Sorry, I keep attacking you. A weapon, it's a police car, whatever. My 4-year-old, it's a mustache, it's a religion, all hail the spoon. This guy doesn't care what it's supposed to be. See, I say paperclip, and nearly everyone goes, paperclip. But I never said how big it was. It could have been 1 kilometer wide, and we put a roof on the top and had a party inside. I never said what it was made out of. It could have been made out of cake or pastry, in which case we'd have eaten it. Our limitation is around expectation. It helps us survive, but it's not where creativity lingers. Let's try that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you another minute. And here is the deal. What I'd like you guys to do is this. Bearing in mind everything we've just said around possibility thinking, I want you to make an enormous list of all the things that a paperclip could never be. Same rules. On your own, 60 seconds, time starts now. What could a paperclip never be? Never. Just not possible. It's good, isn't it? Occasionally, you're like, maybe it couldn't be that. I don't know. Stop. Thank you. Of all of your incredible ideas of what it could never be, choose the one that you're like, it could never be that, for sure. Choose it. Circle it now. If you don't have one, great, you know. But if you do have one, you're like, yeah, go on then, solve that. Now I need you to look to your left, look to your right. Working in 2s or 3s, depending. Be generous with your spirit. Talk to each other. Everything's about collaboration. Tell your friend what it is you chose and see if they can solve it for you. You have 2 minutes. Time starts now. Did you choose anything? Did you choose anything? No. No. Okay, good. Got nothing?
I mean, I'm thinking an animal, but I'm probably wrong.
I don't know. Like, you know, there's that idea about consciousness being inside of everything, like mobile phones and whatever. And so I wonder whether you could argue that there's a similarity and that we start to, what is an animal? If people define animals as pets, probably, possibly, and that they were these kind of vibrating bits of consciousness that we carried around on leashes. And, I don't know. I mean, what do you have? What could it never be?
I don't eating for this.
Eating.
Yeah.
Something to eat. But what if I made a paperclip from soup, khobus? Was it sherbet? And then I froze it. And then it could still work, hold on to the paper. But then Really? But that's based on your... You tell him. You tell him. Challenge each other respectfully. How could he eat it? Do you have anything?
I can't put on a stone.
You can't turn it into a stone. You got a good one?
There's nothing.
There's nothing. You solved them all. You got one?
Yeah.
What have you got?
Affectionate.
Affectionate. Aha! You're a real dreamer. Interesting. People are like, it could never be affectionate. Could it? Do you ever walk into a room and you know that you've got a piece of art that makes you feel something? You reflect back on it. What is affection? I guess we could start to play with the notion of it. Is it a two-way thing? Could we start to hear voices from the paperclip? What was that, darling? Sorry? I hear voices. I know you do. Actually, when we start to get into this way of thinking, it starts to open it up. But actually, what I'm interested in is the language you guys use. When I teach creativity, what you often find is that when people are trying to think of ideas, they kind of think of like risk, and they don't even know they're doing it. They're saying things like, should we? Would it be a good idea? Use the language. Look at solving. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, so bear that in the back of mind. Anything in your hands in your lap, place it down. I'm going to ask you guys a quick question. Remember 12 things around a house. I'm now going to try and build in a very, very simple structure that will help you when it comes to lessons. It will help you when it comes to understanding ideas. Memory and understanding. Could you raise your hand if you've heard of someone called Marie Curie before? Raise your hand if you've heard of Marie Curie. Outstanding. Something you know about Marie Curie is? She's a chemist. Something you know about Marie Curie is? Yeah, she was affectionate. Whatever, we got a bunch of stuff. She had a lot of love to give, right? So, she's one of the greatest scientists in the history of human civilization. How often does someone say, look, she's incredible? And you kind of think, that's not really doing it. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to make it become this. I want you to look around it with me now. This is going to take you less than 2 minutes. Anything in your hands in your lap, place it on the ground again. You need your hands free. Trust me, trust me, trust me. As much as you can, you've only just met me, but trust me. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. Marie Curie. Marie makes me think of getting married. Curie sounds a bit like curry. That's what that's supposed to be. Starting clockwise from 12, in the dawn of her life. Do you guys have Teletubbies? Do you know which Teletubby this is? Which one? Poe. Yeah, that's a bit quick. She's like, I have the tattoo. I love them. So he's born in Poland. Now, if you don't know anything about Teletubbies, you drew the Polish flag or someone with a pole of some kind. She's born in Warsaw, Warsaw. School, she loves 2 subjects, biology and chemistry. Chemistry makes me think of test tubes, biology makes me think of flowers. Use the visual cues. Women weren't allowed to go to university at time in Poland. She traveled to go to university instead in Paris, where she meets the love of her life, a guy here called Pierre with a big nose and a mustache. He is a good scientist. She's incredible. She discovers radiation. She discovers elements that have never been discovered. One's called polonium, one's called radium. I'm not much of a scientist, but I need a way in. Polonium. Sounds like the English word for pollen, so I'm going to draw bees coming down to pollinate. Radium sounds like radio. There's her. She licked and ate radium before she knew how dangerous it was. This is her with her giant tongue. Let's go on to this side. She led her field. She won lots of awards. One is called the Davy Medal. She also won the Nobel Prize twice in physics and chemistry. She died age 67. She and Pierre had a son and a daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, working as one big brain. How old is she when she died? What was the name of her husband? Which country did she come from? City was called. 2 subjects that she liked in school were? An element starting with R that she discovered. An element starting with P. Close enough. Could you tell me, how many times did she win the Nobel Prize? What was the name of her husband? How many times did she win the Nobel Prize? How many kids did she have? What was the name? 3. She's having them. They're expanding. What was the name of the medal that she won? Now do me a favor. Imagine the whole wall behind me is the mind map. I want you to take your pointing fingers. Can you point to where you saw the information about Pierre? Please point now. Hands down. As if the whole wall was there. Where was the Nobel Prize? Point to the wall. Hands down. Where did she come from? Point to the information. How many kids did she have? Point to the... Do you think the reason you can do this is anything to do with your academic ability, or is something else happening? You are literally looking in space. If I was like, point to Pierre, you'd think, who's Pierre? Most of you pretend to finish reading. By the time you're done, the evidence says you may remember 3, you might remember 5 things, but right now you remembered nearly 20 in less than 2 minutes. And we're going to play with that more as time goes on. Ha! So much to do, so much to show. So, why does it work? Lots of different reasons, but we're going to take a very simple crash course. In a moment, I'm going to get you to draw yours, but I'm going to give you a few hints to start with. Okay, eyes on the board. I'm going to just try and drill this from over here. First of all, you, or rather your students, get a piece of text. Of everything we read, there are going to be keywords. For us as human beings, around 10% of everything we read are the keywords. So, you start with this. Our job is to start at the beginning, go to the end, and the question we ask ourselves is, did I get it? Did I understand it? Now, if the answer's no, go and read it again. But if the answer's yes, take the lid off your pen. Einstein was born in Germany in 1879. As a child, Albert hated school. In fact, he was disruptive. They thought he was kind of stupid. Now, at the age of 5, he's given this compass. He starts to take it apart. He wants to know how things work. At the age of 12, he's given this really interesting geometry book. He reads it from cover to cover, and so began his love of maths. 70 words, or Einstein's childhood. He was born in Germany in 1879. He hated school. They thought he was stupid. He was curious in compass and 5 and geometry and 12. And you got like 8 words and a couple of pictures. The reason it's easier is because it's easier. There's simple techniques that we're going to break down right now. And the first of them, look, the first of them is the most obvious thing ever. I'm going to say something in less than 60 seconds now, and I think I can change how you take notes for the rest of your life. Big claim. Take your, huge claim, right? What do you think? Let's find out. Take your hands and place them in front of your eyes. Wiggle the fingers, looking straight ahead. Draw those hands wider and wider and wider and wider and really and wider and wider. You may be tickling or molesting someone now. It's like, he's picking my nose. That's not my nose. And now, I can still see them here. Now try doing it vertically. How quickly do they drop out of your view? This one's gone early, this one a little lower, hands down. And it means, of course, what we have is something called a field of view. For us, our field of view is amazing wide, not so good up and down. If we reference the theory of evolution, we evolved over the surface of the earth. Food and danger and shelter is on the horizon. So having eyes that work like this makes lots of sense. Then you fast forward to the 21st century. We still have eyes like that. And look, cinema, nice and wide. Widescreen television. We open the laptop nice and wide. So why are we coming in to schools and colleges and we take notes, and the very first thing we do is put our page like this. That makes no sense because we see like this. So from now on, and there's no reason to ever go back unless you get eyes like this, place your page landscape, because all you're doing is fitting into what the rest of society already do. People are like, but my book comes like this. And you're like, get a different book, I think, possibly. Sorry, it makes me really furious. Here you go, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, so take your page and place it landscape. Then, another quick idea. Here's what I'm gonna ask you guys to do. Eyes on the screen for a moment. So, I'm gonna call this structure and focus. I'm gonna show you some dots for like a second, and then I'm gonna take them away. And the question is, how many dots were there? 3, 2, 1, go. Good. Not up for long, right? How many dots do you think were there? Just give me a number. No one really knows.
Maybe 30.
Maybe 30. How many? 40. 17. 35. 26. 30. 20. Nobody knows. We're like, I just want to say a different number than someone else. That's all I care about now. Actually, same amount of dots for exactly the same length of time. 3, 2, 1, go. You even had time to go, because your brain and my brain has just worked that out 6 or 7 times more quickly. So if we see it, we get it. If we get it, we understand it. If we understand it, we can learn it and we can remember it. How many times did Marie Curie win the Nobel Prize? Point to where you saw it as if it was right up there now. It's in your brains. And you didn't even draw that. I just told it to you. So now imagine you start to create. We move into a different realm. So, eyes on the board for a moment. How do you mind map? CBF. Central image. There it is. Simple 3-stage approach. Here's Einstein. He looks like he's on Prozac, but there he is. B is, thank you. B is the bloom, the key topics. So I want to talk about his childhood, jobs, his discoveries, and his life. But that's not it. We need to have some information, and that's the flow. The information is connected. So he was born in Germany. He loved maths. He worked as a teacher, discovered relativity, had all his best ideas when he was out walking. But right there, in one eyeful, on one piece of paper that fits how you see as a human, it's right in front of you. So when we're working, one piece of blank, I'm going to say this as well. When you guys are working, can I ask you guys to get blank paper rather than lined paper? The reason is at an unconscious level, lined or squared paper, your ideas won't push as far. You will see answers, not questions. And I don't really think that that's our role here. To be satisfied with answers like George Bush, those kind of guys are satisfied with answers. We are drilling into questions. Raise your hands if you've ever been on the London Underground before. London Underground, London Underground. Do you live in London? Traveller, okay. Northern Line, what colour? Good. Victoria Line? Yeah, you didn't wake up, thanks man. You didn't wake up this morning and go, must remember London Underground. Because our brains and colour are amazingly linked. There are thousands of bits of research, depressingly most of them for advertising, that tells us that our memory improves by 50% if we use colour. But now we'll examine our lives when we were students, and again, the work of the students themselves. Black pen, white page, black pen. What is that? We live and exist in color. So make sure you're using color. What are you trying to say? But not just that. Let's say that we were establishing a collaborative mind map around a new idea that we wanted to bring into education. We wanted to talk about the financial implications. We wanted to talk about the human associations, and maybe even the environmental risks. So if I said to you, this branch is for the environment, what color would you choose? If I said to you, madam, this branch is for humans, what color would you choose? If I said to you, this one is for money, which one would you choose?
Brown.
Gold, whatever. And now we're thinking and talking so that later on, when you're in a presentation, when you're in a discussion, when you're in an exam, you just travel around the green branch and think about all the environmental ideas, and the red branch and the brown, or your brown. It's good. It's your association. So is this the London Underground or is this the London Underground? We get around a city of 10 million people using color and you don't even live there. So you can imagine that this is a powerful resource that we are not tapping into. And why not? Because that's the history of education. How do we think? We talk in words, we think in pictures. Let's say the width of this room is the history of human evolution according to the theory of evolution. So if some of you are not believing in that, that's up to you. I put some stock in the theory of evolution. Over there by you guys, congratulations, fully evolved, well done. Sorry, mate. Over here by this guy. I'm from Yorkshire, so yeah, there you go. So, unfortunately not. Evidence says at the moment, about 4 billion years ago, we're not a man or a woman or a monkey or anything. We're a single-celled microbe living in a sulfur tunnel. Not much happens for a long time, and then we turn into maybe an underwater sea caterpillar or something like, but a romantic one. And then we turn into some kind of amphibian, into a reptile, into a bird, into a mammal, into a man or lady, and then we invent writing. And the whole time we've been here, the history of writing is thinner than the paint on that wall. The rest of the time that we have been here, we've used images and pictures and space to drive the brain that you sit in this room with. And so it should not be a surprise to you that when you work in those terms, things seem to be easy. So can we lift it out? So I'm going to get you to do that right now. Okay, everyone in this room is a reader. You've all read one book that you've enjoyed. One book that you've enjoyed in your life. I want you to, it could have, maybe it was 20 years ago, maybe it's right now. I want you to start to imagine it. You're laughing, I don't want to know what it is now. Okay, so, and then in a moment, but not yet, you're going to start to draw. You're going to draw the images you see, not the actual book itself, like it's this long, it's this wide. You're going to draw the pictures that you see in your head. So for me, there was a boy, he had a boat, there was a baby he had to protect. She was in Oxford, and this is the Book of Dust that I just finished reading by Philip Pullman, great book. I'm going to draw as many pictures as I can see in my head. I'm going to do it for 2 minutes. These guys have already started. And after 2 minutes, I want the person next to you to try and guess what it is that you are drawing. You have 2 minutes working on your own to draw the pictures you see in your head when you think about the book that you love. Your time starts now. I know, I want your book. I want your book. I want your book. Working on your own. You're doing great. 1 minute 40. As much as you can get down. Because this is how we lift out. It's the representation. There's no good and bad art here. There's simply symbolism. Even from Yorkshire, sir. Some pupils are going to get hung up on, I can't draw. If you start to think that that's going to be a case with you, then pre-frame this work with making mistakes and sketching and ideas like that that will lift them into a growth mindset capability around this exercise. You know your class. Think about what will help them. And don't just do one scene. Try and create a small tableau so that when your friend's looking, they'll be like, oh my God, yeah, and then that happened, and then that happened. And it's the feelings and the colors that it presents. Do you need some paper? And is this, where's the paper? Do you have paper? Do we have more paper? Yes. No problem. Another 20 seconds, embellish it. Draw out those memories that, you know, even if you invented those memories, which we do in books all the time. We thought we remembered, but actually memory plays games, and I'm going to look at that in a moment. You guys doing great. Last 10 seconds, get down the main character. And stop. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like you to do, so if you're sitting alone, make sure you're connecting with the ladies in front of you. Look to your left, look to your right. You're speaking to people. You've got a minute to share your stories and your pictures with each other. Go, 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 go. Connect. Good. Speaking. Good. Stuff you're interested in. Thank you. How's the summary going? Yeah? Good.
I have your PowerPoint presentation.
You have it? Oh, you don't even care. Okay, cool. Hello.
When I draw two pictures, she know direct our my.
She reading your mind and your images are great. Well done. Fantastic. It's good. And thinking about stopping and facing this way, I would like to, very briefly, so I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff, including, a little bit later on in a few minutes actually, how to never need to revise ever again. I'm going to show us when information leaves the brain and how to hold on to it theoretically forever. The relationship between short-term and long-term. Could I ask you for a moment, if that's okay, just to place anything in your hands and your lap on the ground? Just helps the connection. Thank you so much. And I hope you don't mind me just kind of talking rather than doing microphones. If I get tired, I might change that. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like to do is just share with you some instances. I got asked to come in to a school in England, a good school. The English department was failing. The reason they were failing was because of the new measures that the government have put on examining. And one of those involves remembering quotations in an English literature book. And the kids were like, I'm not even excited by the book. How am I ever going to remember it? They asked me to come in. I showed them what I've shown you about how to mind map. And then we started to work. Our game was this. Can we remember quotations for Romeo and Juliet? So, quotation marks in the middle. Then we got to think about the 7 different topics. Those are love, hate, sex, youth, death, fate, family. I got the kids to say, okay, so what color feels like it fits? Well, obviously love felt pink, and hate felt black, and sex felt red, and youth felt green, and death felt cold, and fate didn't really feel like orange, but we needed another color up there, so that was fine. And family felt like blue, because that was the royals. And then we started to create the quotation, but soft. What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Kids are like, I can't remember all of that. Okay, play the game. Choose the keywords. And then they drew a window smashing with a kind of girl's face on a sun. Is the art amazing? No. Does it need to be? No, it doesn't need to be. Why would it need to be? Because that kid could suddenly then remember the picture. The pictures, isn't it weird that when we're reading and a book gets good, it becomes a film in our brain? And that's what we're connecting with immediately. And then they started drawing. And then they were drawing, why then, oh brawling love, oh loving hate, which is an oxymoron. So I drew a weird oxo gravy cube, and so on, and so on. And within 15 minutes, these failing kids, not succeeding, failing kids were like, that's easy. Give me another 7. I can do this, because all I'm doing is drawing. And when they are active rather than passive, as you know, that's when they're creating. And then I started to realize that the teachers are under such pressure that they are creating resources for kids. And we know that when they're not thinking, why would they remember? Why would they learn? So here we say, here's how to mind map. blow you away with that. You remembered all that stuff? Here's the rules. Now you create your own resources. The amount of photos I get sent the day after, 2 days after, and hopefully legacy months after, I've been, and the teachers are there, like curating, chairing these kind of quiet working zones where the kids are starting to draw with color and critique each other's and have new ideas. We're going to play with that new ideas in a moment, but here's some others that were created. Inspector Calls, a book in English. Scrooge, part of Christmas Carol. English devices, similes and metaphors. Food groups, distinct, one piece of paper, landscape. Atoms. Okay, now one quick thing, like behind the curtain. I was working in a school about a year ago in the middle of England, and I said, after I ran some sessions, I was like, anyone who wants to come, hang out, Bunch of kids came. One girl had amazing notes on transpiration. I think this is the movement of gas or water around a plant. I'm not sure. She had beautiful notes, pages and pages. She didn't understand a word of it. Because I think we know how to copy it out, but it doesn't prove understanding. How can you choose a color or a keyword or an image unless you really understood? And then I realized when I teach this around the world, the people that don't like mind maps don't like it because it shows them what they don't know. And actually, we can hide behind understanding, but if we're true about what we're doing, we create. And you irrigate, and you look for new meanings. The way the heart works, modernism in architecture. Just to be clear, this is my friend Ed Cook, who's a UK memory champion, but that doesn't matter, anyone can do it. This is on an A3 piece of paper, and this is his PhD. So if anyone's sitting in this room and they're like, well, no, my work is too complicated, it isn't. You're not thinking about it right. How to choose keywords, how to choose symbols. PhD, A3 piece of paper. Right, I'm going to leave this up, and I'm going to ask maybe, your name is? Yusuf. I'm going to ask Yusuf to join me on the stage to the sound of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I like the way you clapped yourself. You're like, just in case, man, just in case. I don't often get the claps. So I'm going to ask you to do me a quick favor, if that's okay. And really, all it is can you hold these pens for me? And just to say it saves like 3 minutes, okay? So can you pass me the black pen, please? Good. Now, in a moment, I'm going to get you to do a mind map about yourselves. If you're not comfortable with that, like no one must know my private thoughts, whatever, good. Then do one about a hobby you have. I like cycling or mountaineering or whatever. Something you're comfortable with. I want you to feel comfortable about their creation. So my name is Karim. I'm going to talk about, I've got 4 pens, so I'm going to use 4 branches. I grew up in Oxford. Could you pass me the blue pen, please? Thanks, man. I went to university, so I guess that's important a bit. Red, please. Oh, yeah, you knew already. Thanks, man. I'm going to talk about my family. Of course, you must remember, I would rather that this was, rotated. And, yeah, the other one. Thanks, man. I'm going to talk about stuff I like doing, hobbies or whatever. Okay, back to black, please. Excellent. So I grew up in Oxford with my mum and my dad, unfortunately not together anymore, and my sister, who's got 2 little kids. One's called Saffron, and she's just completely nuts. And one's called Zaki, and he's really cute. Blue, please. I went to Leeds, where very good. I studied psychology, and I'm going to draw a brain. I know it looks like a cloud, but that's kind of what that is. I also went to Brighton, where I studied architecture. So I'm going to draw some buildings and stuff like that. Skyscrapers, where I also met my long-suffering partner, Colette. And we moved to London, and we started a Red, please. Family, because I apparently love them. And I've got 3 boys. Jamil, who likes chess, and he's 9, and Rafi, who likes, well, violence, and he's 7, and little Faris, who, I don't know, likes dancing, and he's kind of 4, and Red, thank you so much. I guess I like traveling, of course, so there's an aeroplane, and I've been to Brazil, which is amazing, and Colombia, which are just places that stick in my head, and of course, Abu Dhabi, which I love, and I also like cycling, so there's a bicycle, and cycled from London to Paris. So I'm just going to draw the Eiffel Tower in a couple of days. That was amazing. There's more to me than that. But what I'm asking you guys to do is start to think about structure. Yusuf is sitting down to the sound of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Very good. Just put them down. Don't worry about it. I'll sort that out later. Now what I'd like you guys to do is this. You've got your blank sheets of paper. You're going to place them landscape. You're going to write your name or a thing you like doing in the middle. I'm going to give you 3.5 minutes. So this is a speed exercise. I know you may not have colors, so don't worry about that part at this point. I know you got it. But look, here's an amazing one. Everything's kind of connected. This is how to do it. But here's another one that's a bit more hand-drawn. I'm going to ask you guys just to look up on this side. You guys get what we're doing? Sweet. You guys get what we're doing? I can re-explain it, or maybe the translator can do a better job, whatever. Hi, I love you. He's like, yeah, all right, mate. So, ladies and gentlemen, the very best of luck. 3.5, 4 minutes, and you're going to start to create one about yourselves or a thing you're into. In silence, if that's okay, time starts now. If you've got any questions, just raise your hand and I can explain it in different ways. Think about you, something that, Oh, you just go with, I know, I'm sorry, hot stuff. But for now, just roll with the colors that you've got. And you know you can color it in and make it look pretty tomorrow. But right now, think about your lines and your structure and your connections. You guys doing great, about halfway through. So if you've forgotten that you're married, now's a good time to write it in. What was his name again? I'll never forget what's his name. And you can't be finished because you've had a whole life. So just keep like, I am done. You're doing great. Last 35, 40 seconds. Squeeze some stuff out there. Only the things you're comfortable sharing anyway. Like the time you ran off to the circus, anything like that. Need to know. And stop. Now I'm going to have a particular thing with you guys, if that's okay, because we hardly ever do it. So this is what I'd like you guys to do. I'm now going to give you 60 seconds. And in that time, I want you to symbolize as much as possible. So for instance, I've got a family. And really quickly, if I think about families, I think about there's me and Colette and the 3 kids. So it's stick men and stick ladies doing stick stuff. The art's not great. But later on, and this is kind of weird, the thing, because you're about to tell the person next to you all this stuff about yourself, the thing they remember most will be the pictures that you draw, not the words that you write. So it's the pictures on there and the pictures you create in your brain. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds. And in that time, all I want you to do is to add images. 3, 2, 1, go. Just pictures. It's not about the quality of the art, it's about the fact you even did it. and stop. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, so again, that's okay. I'm going to go and give you guys 2 or 3 minutes. Look to your left, look to your right. Working in 2s or 3s. I want you to quickly show and talk with your friend, colleague, lover, whatever, the things that are down on that piece of paper. Introduce yourself to someone so Sir and connects across. The very best of luck. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, time starts now. Hello. I thought I might as well connect with you. Hello. Should I come and... So show me... What's your name? Sorry?
Karim.
Hey, Karim. Nice to meet you. Yeah, no, and I'm Karim. So, okay, good. Okay, nice. Yeah. Very good. So tell me about this.
Okay, this is my kids, my husband. I hate traveling. I have phobia from
Oh, you hate flights. Okay, that's
I have
for
phobia
you.
from plane. I like to walk under the rain. I like the nature. I like animals.
Okay, cool. So
I like
do you like Abu Dhabi?
Yeah,
You do, but there's no rain.
yeah, I know. That's why I dream to go. That's how
Where do you want to go where it's rainy?
Syria, my country.
Oh, you're from Syria. Okay.
I used to go there in the winter.
Yes.
Yeah, I like positive people.
Very
Always
cool.
Smile
Yeah.
and look at the life from the, the staff.
Half full, not half empty. Outstanding. Shukran. Thank you. If you haven't swapped over, swap over. Another 35, 40 seconds. What the fuck is this? He loves alcohol, loves creating stuff. Okay, heads up. So, I know some of you are like, but I didn't get to say that I want to be a dancer or whatever. Let's have a look. What I'd like everyone to do is just hide all the notes. Just so if you're, hide the notes. You guys are working together, so can I choose on you? So, Yusuf, is that your name, Soon? Or very good. You're working with Soon. Just a couple of things about Soon.
His name is Soon from San, which is reflect San.
Yes.
His mom likes Chinese food. His dad likes food.
One more thing.
Just that.
Okay, good. When I was working there, again, first thing you did when you started to panic, you look up here. The answer wasn't written. His mind map wasn't there. Unless he put it up there earlier on. You were accessing, and even your body started to move like you were going down branches. So tell us some stuff about Yusuf.
He traveled to Qatar,
Yeah.
to Oman,
Uh-huh.
and then university,
Yeah.
and then met his lover.
Whoa, lover. Hey, what's up? Look at this. I know. Okay. Son and a daughter, outstanding. And again, it was interesting seeing you like mentally collect with some of those images that were right there. Ladies and gentlemen, what I did see that I'd like to ask you guys to think about is one thing. And it's this. When you write, often what you do is, so I wrote Oxford and my mum here. So what you did is you kind of did a line there, Oxford, and then you did a line there, yeah, mum, okay? And this doesn't feel like a big part, but it's a huge part of mind mapping. The reason this is nothing like a list is because it's asking you a question. When you write like this is basically saying, that's the end of that conversation. But you see, mum is like this. And what does it mean? If I'm honest, I'm oversharing. My mum has dementia. She has vascular dementia. She doesn't know who I am anymore. And I still go and see her, and it's full of lots of strange and terrible and interesting thoughts. But if I'm honest, all of this, of the last 2 or 3 years, is because of this. This doesn't allow that conversation to happen. But now I'm like, okay, and it affected my relationship with my sister because she and I have had to understand each other about a dying parent, which brings siblings either together or it can push them apart. We're lucky so far, it's put us together. It's put a lot of pressure on Colette and the relationship we have as a family because I was trying to have to look up. It's made me evaluate how I deal with problems and ideas and situations. And actually, if I'm honest, everything comes down to that. When we're mind mapping, I'm not asking you just to collect what you know. Actually, what becomes interesting is the space between these things. What is the relationship between these brothers? Does this guy feel like he has a fixed intelligence? Are we overpraising this guy? Well, how can I get him to do his swimming lessons? This is an answer. These are questions. Where does the branch go next? So this is what I want you to start to play with, and I'm trying to encourage. So, as promised, I'm going to show you guys, for a kid, how to never need to revise ever again. Grab your pieces of paper for me, please. Okay, so here we go. Okay, we're going to run two studies. These are very, very simple. And you know what? I'm going to just grab a chair. I feel like sitting down. Thank you. Because I guess I'm lazy. So, oh, look at you. All here. Now, here's the very simple idea. I'm going to read you a list. I'm going to read you a list of 20 words, and I'm going to read them quickly. Then I'm going to stop. As soon as I'm finished, I'd like you guys to write down as many words as you can remember me saying. You can write them down in any order you want. Don't write them down as I'm saying them. 20, that's cheating. There's no money, don't bother. Like, if at the end of today you manage to get like 3 things, that's amazing. Okay, so listen to the whole list. Work on your own. But for this one, work on your own. And listen to the whole list. When I'm done, write down any you can remember. Don't ask me any questions. Just, if you think it, write it. You guys ready? Here we go. I'll try and speak clearly for the non-English first language speakers. Here we go. The first word I'd like you to remember is the word shoe, garden, athlete, music, and David Beckham, and car, herb, worm, Spider-Man, triangle, duck, moss, pencil, carpet, water, glue, herb, turtle. Write down as many as you can. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Otherwise, you start making up words like, did he say chicken biryani? No, he didn't. You're just thinking about one. Ladies and gentlemen, could you count up how many words are on your list? Raise your hands if you got 2 or more. Geniuses. 3 or more, 4 or more, 5 or more, 6 or more, 7 or more, 8 or more, 9 or more. How many? How many? How many? 10. Cambridge University said that for us as humans to remember 7 plus or minus 2 things. So outstanding. You are an outlier, sir. Outstandingly well done. You're like, I knew I was special. When I woke up this morning, I had a good feeling. But actually, that's not my real question. Here is my real question. I'm going to try and guess some, half, more than half of the words on your list. Look at your list again. Could you raise your hands if the word shoe or garden are on your list? If the word shoe or garden are on, and the reason you do is because they were the first 2 words I said. Our brain falls into a very simple pattern. When we start a task off, our brain is like, yes, go, 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 shoe, garden. And then you hear me talking and you think, for the love of God, stop. Then look at the list again. Raise your hand if the word turtle is, of course it is, because it was the last word I said, and your brain basically went, thank God this is over, and you wrote down turtle. Now look at your list again. Does anyone happen to have the words David Beckham or Spot? The ladies are like, yes. Is he here? He's not. I don't know how big the thing, the budget is. Beckham and Spider-Man stood out from the list. They weren't the normal words. Statistically, they've got a good... Look at your list again. What about the words and or herb, if either of those are... And again, if you did, statistically, I said each one twice. So they had a better chance of getting through. And if you have an interest in ducks, or you really like triangles, or you like triangular ducks or whatever, this guy's like, I love triangular ducks. Yeah, good. That's how you got 10, by liking weird animals. Now, this is not rocket science. Any teacher knows this is what a lesson looks like. First 10 minutes, I'm with you. Last 5 minutes, I'm kind of with you. Middle bit, pants on the head, pencils up the nose. This kid is finding it hard to connect because naturally we fall within these patterns. However, this is something very simple that I'd like you guys to use. I'm talking about 3 hours, but actually for you guys, you could break this into 20 minutes during an hour. Let's say we work nonstop for 3 hours. And the work's kind of good, it's okay. Our brain would follow the same pattern. Starts good, ends okay, not great in the middle. What I'd like you to think about doing is how we use breaks. In this instance, take a break every hour. You go from the bottom one to the top ones, changing our ability during that thing. It's the same shaped curve over less time, doesn't drag so low. The reason this works is because you're simply taking breaks. You have to know that a break is coming. So for you, if you've got a 1 hour lesson, you're thinking 20 minutes, 40 minutes, rather than taking them all the way through. What are you thinking? You're thinking physicality, something else. It's just get up and do this thing, you know, like do this thing, whatever you've got. You're teachers, you're creative. You've got a million games like that. So what are you doing to connect? And how are you getting them to think? But here's this other idea. I'm going to set the scene, and then I'm going to ask who's in the group. I am eternally optimistic. Everyone in this room gets good ideas. I would say creative ideas. Now, the question I'm about to ask is, where are you when it seems to happen? And what time of the day is it? So if I could start with you. When you seem to get good ideas coming to you, where and when? Morning time, where are you? Anywhere. Where and when do you get your best ideas? Around morning? Good. Wow, that's very specific. Where and when? When I'm drinking coffee. So, where and when? Showering, very good. Everyone's like, oh, I saw him there actually. I was like, don't disturb him. Where and when? Wow, that sounds amazing. Where and when? Very good. Where and when? Just before sleeping. Where and when? No, have a think. Notice that nobody ever said, I get my great ideas when I'm staring really hard at the computer at the work. Every one of us moves in our frequency, in our brain frequency, and one of those frequencies is called alpha waves. It's a bunch of research. I don't have time yet today to kind of nail that down for you, but when our brain moves at these more relaxed patterns, it's shown that creativity starts to emerge. When we're in the shower, when we're sitting on the toilet, when we're going for a run, not all at the same time. But that's when we get our great ideas. So this system starts to create more moments of calm for you to have creative insight into what you're doing. Create breaks. These are pools of tranquility for you to consider. How to never need to revise ever again. You ready? Here we go. Let's kick some ass. Okay, so, you ready? Right. If you learned something right now, and you know you learn it, it's in there, man. It's definitely in there. Is it there tomorrow? Is it there in a week? What about in a month? Or what about in 3 months? And inevitably, you're like, no, not really. So what happens is we reach a confusion factor. In fact, we know that 80% of everything we learn is gone within 24 hours. What? That means all the energy that you put in as teachers to go, do you get it? Yes, I get it. We get it. I get it. And then they leave. And 24 hours later, you're like, you get it? They're like, get what? They don't even, what was the middle bit? Who are you? These are the questions they're asking. So you guys reach a confusion factor. If someone speaks to you right after this, did you see that guy talk about the brain? You're going to be like, yes. If someone speaks to you in a couple of weeks, did you see that guy talk about the brain? You'll be like, I thought it was a woman. You're going to forget lots of the stuff that you see, but it doesn't need to be like that. Ladies and gentlemen, you ready? Here we go. You got, for those that were here, by the way, you got to the front door of the house. What was hanging on the front door, please? You got onto the hallway. What was on the ground? You went into the front room, the living room. What was in there? You went into the kitchen. What were they doing? German sausage tennis. Yeah, it's a London thing. That's what we do around our way. Now, you went onto the laundry room. Who was in there? Rubbing himself in? Beautiful. You can never forget that, even if you wanted to. What did you trip over on the stairs? What was in your bedroom? What was on that second bedroom? You couldn't get into the bathroom because? Who's in the attic? What's on the roof? What's on the cushion? Learn something once, say it to yourself within an hour. That whole story, ladies and gentlemen, is now yours for 24 hours. If you do nothing with it, it's going to disappear. Not as quickly, but it will disappear. So what you need to do is say it. Check your watches. Before this time tomorrow, say it again, because now you've got it for a week. Say it before that week is over, you have it for a month. Say it before the month is over, you have it for 3. And if you said it once more, 15 seconds to go around the house, you have it forever. It's in your long-term memory. Learn something once, say it 5 times, and you've got it forever. If you're a kid, it means you never need to revise again. Why do you need to revise? You remember everything from the first time you learned it. Learn it once. Never doubt the creative, imaginative engine that goes into the learning. That's all about where you need to be. And then just let these systems, these neural pathways, take care of themselves. Learn it once, say it 5 times, you've got it forever. So I'm going to keep pushing you guys. You guys doing great. I'm going to adjust some of the timings, but I want to introduce now how we can start to be creative in that way and give you a kind of formula to push through. This is linked to lots of the work that we've done, and there's going to be a couple of new interesting ideas as well. Critical thinking starts with research. I don't know about a thing, so I'm going to find out about a thing. And the way in which we're going to research is through 5 W's. This is who, what, where, when, why, and when and how. So I don't know what this is. Let me find out more about it. Very simple harvesting technique. We're just researching. Then what we're going to do is we're going to use that research to build a structure. That structure will, of course, be the mind map. I'm going to give you time to be able to create that. That structure then goes on to presentation, which starts to take care of memory and self-reflection. They say you never understand an idea until you can express it back. And then we're going to take that presentation and move it into parallel thinking, the beauty of realizing that actually it's about cross-pollination. This idea that, everyone's got their phones up, this idea that your brain is amazing and my brain is amazing, but we get locked into oppositional thinking. But instead, if you took what I know and what you know at the same time and you try and build it together. Let me give you a bit of an example. We're going to play around with parallel thinking. So could you raise your hand if you've ever used de Bono thinking hats? Cool, a couple of you guys. Okay, good. So I'm going to try and break this down now. I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes for this experiment. Look to your left, look to your right. I need you to start to discuss something, and then I'm going to give you parameters to discuss it again. Right now, talk to each other. You've got 3 minutes, and the question I want you to talk to each other about is this. Should marriage be a 5-year contract? This guy's like, when? Now. Yeah, good. Yeah, that means I've done 15 already. Okay, good. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got 3 minutes to talk to each other. Should marriage be a 5-year contract? Time starts now. Hey, you guys, can you join in with Reem if Reem's comfortable, if that's okay? Just because it's great to get more people talking rather than fewer. Shukran, thank you. Keep using the time. I'll tell you when to stop. And stop. Thank you. Good. Question. I think I kind of know the answer. I've been listening in a little bit. So one thing it's really hard to do is to feel sometimes like you've reached a consensus. There's a lack of collaboration, and what you can find is that there can be oppositional thinking. I think this, my idea tries to be your idea. And so what we have is something called 6 hats. Quick demonstration. When you put on a hat, you must go with this particular thing. So when everyone wears the white hat, all you can talk about are the facts and information and questions. Things like whys and wheres and what fors, building the foundation. Your red hat is your emotion. Because what I found, and this was listening a bit, you guys worked with the emotion really quickly. I hate this idea. And then you looked for justification. I hate it. That'd be disgusting. It's ruining our civilization. Let me think of why. Doesn't help us be creative. Yellow and black you'll be more familiar with. That's looking at the positives and negatives of each situation. Green hat, what could a paperclip never be? And blue hat is the chairperson, the kind of overall systems that we have. So in this case, it's me. I was asking you a question to think about. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do now is play that game. I'm going to change the timings. I'm going to give you guys 45 seconds, 45 seconds, 45 seconds, 45 seconds. That will be the same 3 minutes. Right, so we're going to be working quickly. And here's the drill. I'm going to ask you guys to start to think positively. Now, people sitting here going, it's the worst idea of all time. So right now, you have to put the positive hat on. However much you feel like this is a terrible idea, you're making yourself think, okay, all right, if I was going to think what's good about it, what is? Because this is what happens. When we talk about ideas, we're like, I'm on this side of the building. Yusuf is over here. We've got another couple of guys, Soon's over there. And I'm like, no, can't you see that this is, you're talking rubbish. Yusuf is like, all of a sudden we say, let's all go to this side together and see what we can see working collaboratively, and then we travel to this side of the building. And that's what I'm asking you to do now. Work together to think positively. Work together to think of facts and questions that will drive this conversation forward. Work together to look at, oh no, this is a terrible idea. Then when you get to black hat, I'm going to ask you to choose the one knockout. This is a terrible idea because of this. See if you can apply a green hat to it, and then we have a consensus. Ladies and gentlemen, pens at the ready. Everyone put your yellow hat on. This is a great idea. Marriage should be a 5-year thing. Now you need to find ideas and reasons. You guys ready? Everybody ready? Here we go. You got 45 seconds. It's a great idea. Go. Yeah, no worries.
It's been brilliant.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's really kind. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, man. Peace out. Catch you later.
Yeah.
See ya. Capture it. Why is it great? It's amazing. It's amazing. It's the best. Why is it so good? Positive. Be positive. It may go against your religion. It may go against your feelings, but you make yourself think of ideas. See it from your friend's point of view. Stop. Good. Everyone take off the yellow hat. Put on the white hat. These are facts you know. So for instance, you know that like 70% of Western European marriages end in divorce anyway. I totally made that fact up, but everyone's like, yes, it's probably true. Then these are the points at which you bring in what you know. Now, if you don't know that, then it becomes a question you want to ask yourself. What are the trends of marriages changing and ending in the UAE over the last 100 years? What can we see in terms of trends? That would be an interesting question for me. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like you to do now is think of the questions you would ask yourself or the facts you know. You've got 45 seconds to play that game. Quick as you can, time starts now. What are the questions that you will ask yourself? Bye. See you later. Thank you. Shukran. Are you a handshaker? Yeah. Okay, cool. Take care. Bye. Bye. And stop. Amazing. Beautiful. Now I want everyone to put on the black hat. This is the worst idea in the history of ideas. What on earth is this man talking about? You've got 45 seconds to look at issues and problems with this plan. Your time starts now. Go, go, go. What's wrong? Loads. Why? So I'm going to probably miss out a couple of bits and then try and finish about 20 past or something like that, just because I don't want to be working to an empty room. Yeah. And stop. Amazing. Thank you. Now I need you, of all your millions of reasons why this is the most stupid idea you've ever heard, choose the one where you're like, yeah, that's the knockout blow. That's the one. Choose the one. Choose the one. You got one? Got one? Choose one reason that you'll feel like that is insurmountable. We could never get past this problem. You've chosen it? Right. Now I need you to put your green hat on. Think of your positive language. If we could get over this, what would it look like? What kind of moves would we need to make? What could a paperclip never be? I'm asking you to apply that type of thinking. You've got 45 seconds working together. 3, 2, 1, green hat. It's a paradigm shift. It's the paperclip made out of cake. It's the one that's a mile wide. It's the shift in what we understand about culture and humans. It's an ability to think outside of the box. And stop. Now I need you simply to put the red hat on. You've got 10 seconds. This is your emotional response. Based on that 3 minutes work, how do you, as your gut, feel about where this is taking you? 10 seconds. Put the red hat on. Go. Emotional response. Feel good? Feel good? Feel good? Yeah, I'm done. And stop. Ladies and gentlemen, same amount of time, 3 minutes. Look at the work that we can do when we start to pull the organization. I want to be really clear at this point. We started later than I wanted. And based on the energy in the room, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say about 7 or 8 more minutes. So if you can stay with me now, we'll be done by the time for the plenary in the other room. What I'm going to do is just illustrate something. Then I'm going to get you to do one last memory example. And then you guys are out of here. Good? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, so what I would do is I would start to say, okay, so did you develop consensus, less adversarial, positive language? So thinking about that relationship. For instance, here's a question that you guys could pose yourselves in the next couple of days. How can we make our students become better critical thinkers? Research it. I'd say give yourself 7 minutes. Then structure it, mind map it. The mind map should be able to show you then that you've got reflection and memory and so on. And then 4 minutes towards cross-pollination, which is to say, you've had all these great ideas, Yusuf. Now you get soon to come in and critique and say, that's amazing. That makes me think of this. And then you take that and you can make it become 2, 2 become 4. One of the biggest preoccupations with teachers in England is the syllabus. I've got to teach the syllabus. I took a group of year 5s, so 10 years old. And what we did is we said, the subject here is space. Do a mind map about what you know about space. 10 minutes later, get your friend. They made a bigger one. 10 minutes later, get your friend. They made a big one. Last 5 minutes, everyone comes up on the board. They start drawing the bits about space that they know, how it connects. One lesson, 1 hour, they have shown the entire syllabus about space, which is a very simple process, which is flip learning. How do we get them involved? Don't make the resources for them. Let them be interested, because that kid looks at the board and says, I can see where my thought is, and I can see how it connects, and I can see where the next questions are going to emerge. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce you for the final thing to my very good friend, Janet. Have a look at the screen. This is going to take about 2 minutes. You guys okay? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Janet, the beautiful, ageless Janet. She's 38 years old. She lives in Paris. She's lived there for 15 years. She lives in a beautiful apartment on the Rue de Rivoli. Sounds like ravioli, meat, pasta thing, but it's Rivoli. She lives on the 16th floor. Take a moment. Imagine the view across Paris. It's amazing. Her apartment costs 3,000 euros a month. She's got a man in her life, and his name is Henry. He's originally from Canada, so the maple leaf helps us remember it. Because of work, he's living in Hong Kong. He comes back every 2 months, stays for 1 week. That's why they're so in love, probably. And thank you. He's a lawyer. He works in entertainment, a lot of well-known film stars and pop stars. She's also a lawyer. She works in intellectual property, IP. She earns 90,000 euros a year. She has hobbies. She listens to jazz in cocktail bars. She loves to sing karaoke. She's not great, but she loves going shopping in Paris and when she visits her best friend in New York. She's a mother, she has children. Her son is 8, the daughter is 11. They've got a dog who's 2-year-old. He's called Fido. He loves to bite the kids. She's 38. Ladies and gentlemen, working as one big brain. How old is Janet? What's the name of the man in her life? Where's he from originally? But where's he living now? Comes back stays for? You're like, I love this guy, stays for 1 week. I want that kind of marriage, right? So could you tell me, is she a mother? How many kids? How old's the son? How old's the daughter? How old's the dog? What's the name of the dog? What does he like to do? Eat children, yeah, 2 more, table 3. Could you tell me, what's her job? What kind of law does she work in? He's also a lawyer. What kind of law? And how much does she earn a year? And which floor does she live on? And how much does it cost a month? And the name of the road is the Rue de... She likes to go shopping in 2 cities. They are... She likes to also... She likes to New York. She likes the karaoke. She likes to listen to... Where? In cocktail glasses. Ladies and gentlemen, how old is she? Point to where you saw 38. Just point as if it was there. Could you point to where you saw about Henry? Point to it. The reason you can do this is because it's not this. The reason you can do this is because it's not this. If you're thinking about your relationship with writing, it needs to change. At the very beginning, those of you who were here, I showed you guys 25 images in 25 seconds. I'm going to show them again. Now I'm going to show you 2 pictures. One you saw at the beginning, one you didn't. If the one you saw in the beginning is on this side, do me a favor, point to that wall because I can't see this. If the one you saw in the beginning, point to that wall. My tip, don't even think about it. Go with your gut reaction. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. So, here we go. Point to the wall. Which picture did you see at the beginning? Point to the wall. Yeah, you're right. How about now? Yeah, you're right. How about now? Eddie Merckx. How about now? Snow Leopard. How about now? Eames' chair. How about now? Dice. I like the way Yusuf was just doing this, right, the whole way there. All of them, all the time. I showed you those for 1 second 2 hours ago. This comes from a study they did in Central Europe 30 years ago. They showed people 2,000 pictures for half an hour, a bit like Clockwork Orange. They were just staring, and they got them all right at the end, just like you. And then they got them back 25 years later. Very few people even remember taking the test. But when they showed them those pictures again, they still got them right 85%. Which means the things that I showed you for 1 second today will be somewhere in your brains when you're like 20. You're probably thinking you should have shown me some better pictures then. I know what a dice is. There's going to come a time where you feel, and your students feel, that your brain can't handle it. Your brain is the most complex thing in the known universe. What we have to do is change information to suit us as a human being, not us as a student. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Karim. It's been really lovely to meet you. Well done. Thank you. Well done, chaps. I'm around, and if there are any questions, there's a great plenary coming up, I think, at 4:30. You've been incredibly patient. Thank you so much. Bye.